Tonight, once again, we gather in search of the truth, dark, and mystery. It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
Big development today in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. According to state and local officials and court documents, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger has been arrested. He was arrested and arraigned this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latex gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Phil J. Pride, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Guess who's back? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel. Been a little bit, guys. I apologize for the long hiatus. I just needed to work, got busy. I needed some time to myself to get back into the groove of things. I'm back now. So I want to say thank you to all our followers and subscribers that have, stuck with us through the little brief moments there where I was not on a schedule, so to speak. So I anticipate being more on schedule and coming in at you multiple times a week, starting this week. So I'll be back on Thursday night, and I'll have a familiar guest on the show. Forensic Frenzy will be on the show. Jasmine from Forensic Frenzy will be on the show. We'll be talking a little bit about the Bryan Kohberger case, some of the things that she has found on her own, and also some of the things that maybe perhaps, Idaho may be looking at her channel and a few things, and we're going to discuss those things and much more on Thursday. So make sure you like, subscribe, ring that notification button. You know what to do, the whole 9 yards. So that way you guys are informed. So with that being said, there was a new document that dropped out just about maybe a week ago that I've been meaning to talk about. Unfortunately, like I said, I took a little bit of time off there. And so let's look into what this document is. And it's basically in reference to Bryan Kohberger's attorneys. And there's some interesting verbiage in this document that, I don't know, is it possible that there could be a new defense attorney looming here pretty soon for Bryan Kohberger? So this was an order regarding representation status and setting a hearing. And this is State of Idaho plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger defendant. By this order, the court directs the current defense counsel of Ann Taylor, Elisa Massoff, and Jay Loxton shall remain as counsel for the regular defendant unless they are relieved by subsequent order of this court. An ex parte sealed closed hearing will be held on Tuesday, October 8th at 1 p.m. at the Ada County Courthouse. Counsel may appear either in person or via WebEx. At the hearing, the court will consider the defendant's representation status and the obligation of the state public defender to pay for the cost of representation. The state public defender, Eric Frederickson, must appear at the hearing as well. Signed, dated, Stephen Hippler, judge, on the 2nd day of October. So what I found interesting in the verbiage of this document is the fact that, one, it's ordering and directing that the current counsel still stay unless relieved by a court order. And then it says here that they're going to have a hearing. And in that hearing, the court will consider the defendant's representation status. So does this mean that there's a possibility that Ann Taylor and her staff might not be representing Bryan Kohberger anymore? I doubt it. Now, the reason why is because they want to do this in May. If they go and get new counsel for Bryan Kohberger, that's going to extend this a significant amount of time. And so I don't think that's the direction that they're going to go with. So I do think that they are going to end up keeping Ann Taylor, Massoff, and Jay Loxton. But what is it that they could be arguing about if it isn't so much the representation? If Bryan Kohberger is not going to get a new public defender, and well, then again, the state public defender is going to be there, Eric Frederickson. So let's look into him real quick. Let's see. So Eric Frederickson is the new lead office of the state of public defender. This is from Boise, Idaho. Governor Brad Little has appointed Eric Frederickson as state public defender and to lead the newly created Office of State Public Defender, SPD. The new state public defender position is a result of tax property relief legislation Governor Little signed in 2022, House Bill 735A in 2022, provided immediate and ongoing property tax relief to all Idahoans by reducing county property taxes by annual amount and county spent on public defense and transferring the ongoing cost of providing indigent public defenders public defense to state. To carry out this transition, Governor Little signed House Bill 236 this year, which created a new state office, which would be responsible for public defense services. So basically, this guy's in charge of the money, right? He's in charge of the money, and he's in charge of how the money is spent when it comes to indigent accused persons who are now, have to go before court, and they need counsel. So all this and all, in my opinion, what I think this is all about is Ann Taylor and her defense team are going to be asking for some more money from the state of Idaho. And I think that the judge is bringing in public defender who must appear, the state public defender, Eric Frederickson, in efforts to get that finalized right then and there. This isn't something that's going to take a while. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there's probably been a ruling already, but because the court hearing was sealed, closed, and ex parte, we won't know what actually happened maybe until after trial, things like that, when things get released. However, in this situation here, what I'm assuming is going to happen is that Ann Taylor and her defense team are going to be asking for some more money. And given the fact that they're going down this route and they're bringing in the state public defender who is in charge of the finances, and as I said right now, they signed in a bill to create this. And in my opinion, when you sign on a bill to create something like this, it's probably to save people money. And when you're trying to save your taxpayers' money, what I took out of everything so far is that this guy's job was to limit the amount of funding in the public defenders group, basically. And he's like a project manager, and he needs to cut, trim the fat, so to speak, when it comes to how much money and where it's used and how it's used. So I don't think that this is going to be something in her favor. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll give her a little bit more. Maybe they'll give her something, right? I'm not saying they're going to be, all right, no, you're not going to get anything you want, yada, yada, yada. But I don't think it's going to be as smooth as like, all right, hey, we want another $3 million. And then they're going to be like, all right, here you go. It is what it is. And so, no, I'm looking at the case website. I've seen them. Well, anywho, so, in fact, that's right here. And if you look, let's refresh it because I'll do it again. The last thing that came in was 10/2/2024, which is this document here. And so the sealed documents, or the this ex parte hearing that was held on Tuesday, my assumption is that it was probably to put a cap on what she was asking for. Now, what could she be asking for? So she had an expert pass away who was part of the mitigation phase, which I think Ann Taylor was a little bit hesitant to bring up in her trial. At the top of his name is the case summary. I'll go check that out. Let's see. All right, let's see. Updated. Yeah, you're right. It's updated today. Let's see. Or updated the 8th. Apologize. I'll scroll down. You go all the way to the bottom. Okay, those are canceled. All righty. The order, so a hearing scheduled for 1 p.m. This was the ex parte sealed. There was a motion filed under seal, another order filed under seal. notice of filing under seal. So there was 3 more motions, all under seal. So if it's under seal, it's probably not in the benefit of Bryan Kohberger. So we have seen Ann Taylor bring out a lot of different things, come forward and want certain things public. And the things that she doesn't want public are things that are prejudicial to her client, which is also the same thing that that the prosecution has said. You know, the things that they want sealed are the things that will be prejudiced against Bryan Kohberger before trial. So these things are all under seal. Now, the other thing that she was talking about in the last hearing that she wanted under seal was the information, or wanted to get another expert and get in time for another expert to replace the expert that passed away. A lot of people have done some research and found out who that person is. I'm not gonna put it out there, but this person was an expert in death penalty cases, and so this was a mitigation expert. I think that was also said during the hearing. In the last hearing, it seemed like Ann Taylor didn't want to kind of say that, right? She wanted to say she has some experts. She was kind of hiding that, and then she said, you know, I don't want to give away some of the way we're going to be doing things, blah 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 blah. And then it comes back that it's a mitigation expert, and it's just like, oh, okay, this is somebody in the event that you lose, gotcha, and so that he doesn't get the death penalty. And so, with that being said, yeah, these notices filing under seal probably didn't go in Ann Taylor's favor, or are things that are prejudicial to Bryan Kohberger. So be interesting to see what they are. The other stuff that's on here has been canceled. There was a November 7th hearing that was canceled, and so was a motion to suppress. So there was a motion to suppress that was scheduled for February 6th. That's canceled. The motion in limine, that's canceled. So these are some of the motions that we should expect to see from Ann Taylor. And when it comes to like these motions to suppress and stuff like that, could that possibly be something that is under seal? I would think so. I would think so, because Ann Taylor doesn't want that information that is out there to become known, you know, whatever it is they're trying to suppress. And so you don't want to put that out in public, even if you had, like, I don't know, something concrete, unless you had something concrete that says you were somewhere else or something like that. If that motion, you know, doesn't come to light, like it's sealed, when the time comes for any of these things, it's probably not in Bryan Kohberger's favor, or Ann Taylor doesn't see a possible win there, right? Because we've seen her argue multiple times to have certain hearings be public. It's not something that is that she wants out there like that. So that she does want out there. She doesn't want it hidden. In fact, she said, I think in one hearing, that, you know, there are certain things that they want, that they are going to want to suppress. And I believe motion to suppress was one of them that they were going to want to seal. But that she was very adamant about others that she wanted to be open. And so the other thing is too, like, I don't think Judge Hippler is taking any slack from either side. And so we'll see if these motions even happen in this hearing. Let's see. But if you guys have any questions, comments, things of that nature, put a couple of stars next to it. I'll be answering a couple of questions here in a moment. Let's see. I got one. What's up? Leanin comes in with becoming the newest YouTube member. Thank you for becoming a member, Leanin. Guys, I put it out today for all our members. The Discord link is back out. Apparently, it doesn't stay up, so I'll be having to put this link out there probably every week or so. I'll post a members only post with the new link to get into the Discord. If you want to be a member of the Discord, you got to hit that join button, and then you go into the community tab, and in there you would find where it's there is a post for members only. The most recent one, which would be today, would have your link to get into the Discord. I'm in there. You can message me directly, things of that nature. And I respond for the most part. I mean, obviously, if it's during the middle of the day and while I'm working my my real job, then it'll probably be a little bit later in the evening when I get back to it. But I do go through them and I do answer those. So for our members, please come on by and check it out. I know Extreme Blonde became a member earlier today, and she was in there earlier, so it's good to see you also here in the chat. She's a not only a member, but she's also a mod and a big supporter, so we truly appreciate you. Let's see. So yeah, if you have any questions, things of that nature, please put a couple of dots there. She's like a public image consultant. Maybe. But yeah, so this is what we have going on. I think that this hearing that had happened on October 2nd was probably, or the 8th was probably in reference to money. But let me see. I haven't read all of this yet. And I see something here down here. It says, as SPD, Frederickson will work with county officials and public defenders statewide to carry out the transition. The new office begins providing indigent defense services on October 1st, 2024. See, this is the other issue right here. So they have a new way of doing things. And so they have a new way of doing things as of October 2nd or 1st, 2024. And that hearing was, just after that. I wonder if there's going to be something that it might affect Bryan Kohberger's hearing. Frederickson immediate responsibilities will include establishing a statewide public defense standards and police and policies, hiring transition staff, procuring a statewide case management system, onboarding employed and contract public defenders, and facilitating the appointment of district leadership in each Idaho 7 districts. I am humbled and appreciative of Governor Little's appointment to this position. Over the last decade, Idaho has become a leader and innovator in providing indigent defense services. Although I am saddened to leave the talented and dedicated attorneys and staff of the SAPD, I'm excited to lead and support an exceptional trial defenders we have throughout Idaho, Frederickson said. The appointment is effective September 25th, 2023. Interesting stuff there. What's up? Mountain Mama comes in saying, love my turkey family. Thank you. We love you too. We love you too. But yeah, guys, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? I could go through some of the comments that we have. Some of them are pretty funny. There's a lot of people that are lacking a lot of common sense in some of the comments that I've seen. So if you guys are in for a good time, you want to laugh about something, I could do that. But for those of our members and family, Drunk Turkey family that are out there in the southeast part of the country, I just want to say I hope you guys are safe. You're doing fine. Our prayers and thoughts go out to you for those that are affected by the past hurricane that came through and the potential upcoming storms that are going to be going through there as well. Our thoughts and prayers are out to you guys. Let's see. Public image, meaning dressing BK in nice suits, controlling the information that gets released, etc. Right. Yeah. And that's true. I believe that's true. I doubt that he's going to get to wear that suit of his in any more pre-trial hearings, though. He was going to have a meeting with his deputies, transport deputies and bailiffs to ask him about the safety concerns about having somebody who's been accused of a quadruple homicide to be transported back and forth from, the jail that he's at right now in street clothes, and or allowing him to dress in that manner in public court. I don't think he's going to get it. I think it was Brian Ensign who spoke about how, when he came in handcuffed, and that wasn't the case in Moscow. And when you look at the court order, it was only specific for that one day that he was going to be allowed to wear the suit. So in the end, I highly doubt, I don't see police officers, because that's what they are, peace officers. They have a license to be either sheriff, police officer, or deputy, bailiff, those type of things. You need to be a peace officer, or at least in Texas you do. You have to have a license for that. And so I just don't see a member of law enforcement siding with a quadruple homicide suspect. And when it comes to their attire, I just don't see that. That doesn't come across as something that is going to They're going to be like, oh, yeah. This guy's accused of what? No, it doesn't matter. No matter what. He's a PhD student. How many PhD students can't do nothing wrong, I guess. So like, it just doesn't, I don't think so, in my opinion. I don't see it. As far as controlling the information that gets released, yeah, she's definitely trying to do that. I mean, the stuff that she claims is borderline, like some of the rhetoric we get from like freedom of speech. Like she doesn't want people to talk about this case. She doesn't want victims to go out there and create vigils in memory of the victims' family members. She don't want family and friends to do so. They don't want family or friends to try to, ask for help when this first occurred and they were out, the Goncalves family, for one, was out there, doing a couple of interviews here and there about what they knew or didn't know. They didn't want, the police department to go out there and ask for assistance and give updates to the concerned citizens of Moscow. I mean, complete communistic control is what they were wanting when it comes to Bryan Kohberger. It sounds very leftist to me. I'm not trying to be political, but that's just what I think when it comes to the control aspect. I'm a lot more for freedoms. We live in America, freedom of speech, freedom of a lot of things, freedom to think and say whatever you want. And although that does include some of the idiots out there that say some of the dumbest things, but that's what our country was founded on. So, yeah, I just don't like being told what to think, what to say, what not to say. How the victims behave, or the family members of the victims, how they behave. Try to control the narrative that, hey, because you asked for assistance and you ended up finding Bryan Kohberger, that made him, somehow prejudicial against him. It's a bunch of nonsense. That's what it is. Bunch of nonsense. Let's see. The psychoanalyst on Nancy G the other night said having Ann Taylor as his attorney is like Bryan finally had a girlfriend and everything. Hearing it's like he's going on a date. I was howling. Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, that's the only probably conversations he's had with somebody of the opposite sex who didn't end or turn out to be something creepy and disturbing. I mean, it still probably can. I think there was somebody who was noticing, some body language behaviorists who are noticing that Ann Taylor has been continually sitting further and further away from Bryan Kohberger the further this stuff goes along. And so I don't know. I'm not a behavioral specialist, and neither are most of you. I've seen some of the comments in some of these things, like where they're talking about how, somebody will have like a PhD, an actual PhD, and talk about the things that they're trained and studied for. And then you'll have somebody there who's like I don't know, just name a profession that's not that and say, hey, you know what? I think you got it wrong. That's like me telling a surgeon, surgeon, I think you're wrong on this cardiology procedure. I saw a YouTube video once where some guy who doesn't have a PhD was talking about, how you should do this other thing, and see how that goes, right? See how that flies. I mean, some of the egos that some of these people have, that they think that they actually know more than others, is crazy. It's crazy, especially when they have no experience or any of those things. Like, and any experience in law enforcement, and like, for instance, in this situation, or law or criminal, if they weren't an attorney. I mean, there's some out there that I think that, yeah, they got the background for it. They're either an attorney or something professional in their past. But some random dude who has a phone that can record himself saying some things, I don't think there's a lot of credibility in that. Just what I'm thinking. Nina Drew says, I think he's a flight risk in street clothes. It's possible. If he were to find a way to escape, he's not wearing an orange suit, so he wouldn't be noticeable from a distance. He could blend in with the people around him. Obviously he's pretty tall and pretty recognizable at this point, but You would have to see him face to face to be able to determine that that was him. I mean, if you saw somebody from the back, I mean, you might be able to identify the hair or whatever the case may be, but you can't really identify that person. And if there's multiple people like that walking around in suits or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I can see where it can be a flight risk situation. I think Ted Bundy, I think he got to wear, the clothing that he wanted. I think he jumped out of a second story building, was able to get out of there with little people, bringing it up to anybody's attention once he left the perimeter of the courthouse, mainly because he wasn't wearing an orange jumpsuit. So yeah, let's see. It would be potentially dangerous to the public. Oh yeah, it would be more than dangerous. It'd be bad. Everyone loves the First Amendment until it threatens their Sixth Amendment rights. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I mean, rights are the way they're set. And the way I learned it when I went to, so I was in college. I know I've said before, I have a joke where I go, I went to spring break, but I didn't go to college. That's just a joke. I did go to criminology class in college and things of that nature. And so the way it was explained to me when I was in college, not necessarily when I was a police officer, well, maybe a little bit too, but was that the way the rights work is that you have your right to do as you please until you infringe on the rights of others. And, if the right of others is to have peace and not be disturbed, and somebody is disturbing the peace, well, they're violating the rights of the people around them. And so that's when some of the things become legal, not legal, things of that nature, right? So, yeah, rights have their limitations, and for a reason. However, what I was talking about earlier was a complete control of those rights. And it was just it's kind of crazy, in my opinion. Aren't they waiting for the defense team to renew contracts? I mean, it's possible. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. All I can kind of tell from what I'm reading here and what I'm seeing is, in my opinion, it sounds like there's they're going to be asking for more money, and we'll see how that goes. Because I mean, it literally says here, the representation status and the obligation of the state public defender to pay for the cost of representation. I mean, that's literally what it says in the middle of the deal there, that the court hearing is going to be whether or not they're going to keep Ann Taylor, and if they're going to pay her the money that she's asking. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if the change venue was his idea to begin with. Maybe. I mean, yes and no. I think in every high profile case, the defense attorney is always trying to change the venue to get it to a place where they have a better chance of people not knowing about the case. But in Bryan Kohberger's situation, they didn't necessarily do that, right? They chose Ada County, which was the place where it was relatively the same as far as biasness when you look at percentage of people. And so when people say, yeah, Boise, Idaho has 500,000 people. Well, if 64% or 62% of those people think he's guilty, well, that's like 6 times the amount of people in Moscow? 200 and, a lot. I mean, over 250,000 people, because that would be at 50%. It's about 275,000 people. I think that are biased towards Bryan Kohberger. So when you have 265,000 people, do you really think you're going to come across people that, do you think that people aren't going to fall through the cracks that really think he's the one that's guilty? Now, you had the opportunity to go to another place where a significant amount of people knew less. But there's 2 problems with that. One, it's closer to Moscow, which is close to where the victims' families members are. And 2, if found guilty, those rural areas are more likely to put him to death versus a larger city. Even though the city has, found people guilty. I think Chad Daybell was the last one, and he's going through his appeals and stuff too now. So it doesn't necessarily mean by him going to Boise that he's not going to get it. He more than likely will. But that kind of tells you a little bit about their strategy. Are they more concerned with biasness that would lead up to the verdict of the case, or are they more concerned with the punishment of the case? And if they're more concerned with the punishment of the case, that already tells you they're fighting a losing battle, right? I mean, they're already. I mean, that's what you would choose over the possibility. And the other thing too is, if you're closer to the victim's family members, well, they're going to be there more often than not to these hearings, right? I think the tactic was to get it as far away from Moscow, so that way the family members of the victims aren't in court as often as they could or should be, right? If it was closer. And so the goal there is to minimize the impact of the victim family members onto the jury. So those are the two tactics that I see out of Bryan Kohberger's defense team. And none of those really scream out that he's innocent, as much as they're trying to figure out a way to save his life from the verdict they eventually are going to come to. Sounds like they know really, actions speak louder than words. A lot of people will say, oh, Ann Taylor said that she thinks he's innocent. I don't care what she said she thinks. She said a lot of things. Bethany had exculpatory evidence. We're going to hear that. Bryan Kohberger had an alibi. We're going to hear that. Bunch of BS. And a lot of you just bought it with nothing to back it up and nothing to prove any of the stuff that she has claimed up to this point. There's no alibi still. Where's the exculpatory evidence that she keeps yelling she has? Why is he still sitting in jail without bail? Or why haven't they done anything to expedite this process if he's truly innocent? Actions speak louder than words. And the actions of the defense team are screaming guilt. Screaming guilt. You can be blinded by that all you want. You may even look the other way. You may even deny it and see it in front of you and still deny it. It doesn't change the fact that that's what it is. Let's see. Answer a few more, and then I'll be calling this one a show, guys. So let's see. Wouldn't a public risk for quadruple homicide perp to be handcuffed in the street closed, jailed in court? No. I mean, it'd still be a public risk, because if he got out, I mean, that's the thing. He can blend in with the people that are around him. The orange jumpsuit is orange and bright for a reason. You know what I mean? And right now we're going into wintertime. So if these hearings start ending a little bit later than normal, if he were to get out there at night, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night when it's already dusk or night outside, shoot, I mean, that might be what he's trying to do. That orange jumpsuit would have helped out a lot. Let's see. Go through that. Just checking to see if anybody else has any comments. Is BK in solitary? I'm guessing he's not in Gen Pop. So we had a video that we put up not too long ago from News Nation, referencing from one of the guys that works at the, I think he works for, he's some sort of official there in Boise and Ada County when it comes to transporting and housing suspects. And he talked about the situation that he's at. He's in a much larger prison. Where he was at before was much smaller. He still had access to other people, maybe not like sitting next to them or anything like that, but they were close enough that they could yell at each other, things like that. In his own TV in his own room. And now he's by himself, 24/7, no TV, just silence. And the facility is large enough that they don't have to pass anybody in front of him. So he doesn't ever get to see anybody else other than the guards. Do you think Bryan family will attend? They have been to any court hearings? Do they have Zoom access? I'm assuming they do have Zoom access, and they've probably watched all of them the way we have. I haven't heard that they were in Idaho at any point since he was been transported back. I know they went to the hearings in Pennsylvania for extradition and etc. But the ones in Idaho, I don't think so. Now, will they be in the trial? Probably. I think they would make an appearance at one point, maybe for the verdict and sentencing phase. And that's it. Kohberger, larger jury pool doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, larger, like I said, when you have statistically the same amount of chances of finding somebody who is biased or not, all that means is that 275, over a quarter million people are biased towards Bryan Kohberger in Ada County, and that's the place they chose. That's crazy, in my opinion, but hey. Let's see. Crime Sleuth says he's wearing hidden restraints under the clothes, like a belly chain, stun belt, or cuff. He won't be going anywhere. Well, that wasn't the case in Moscow, you know. And even if that is the case, like, you know, you can't see it, you can't tell. If he were to do something underneath, or create a fake key, or steal one, or have some pro-burger mail him one in a cake, or something weird like that, which they'll probably go through, but I wouldn't put it past any of y'all, some of y'all weirdos that would have done that. You men too, and probably send them your underwear. Well, anyways, you know, if he were to get out, you wouldn't be able to, like, it would be harder to tell whether or not he was secure without those things. And there's the possibility of, like, the cuff getting cut in, or the cuff of the jacket being caught into the where the teeth connect in the restraints, and so in the handcuffs. So, I mean, I've never seen anybody do it, but in like a couple of times were they able to get out of there by utilizing clothing in there to kind of get the keys to work in or the teeth to work in a specific way. I mean, those things are possible. I mean, are they likely? Probably not, you know, but are they possible? Yeah. And so you want to plan for the potential possibility there of something bad happening. Let's see. It's disheartening to see the support for Kohberger against the Goncalves fam. I mean, like I've said, you know, love is blind. You have these people that literally think that Bryan Kohberger is going to be found innocent. He's going to walk out of there, walk into their bedroom, tickle their butthole, and tell them good night stories and sue everybody for millions of dollars. That's literally what all these men and women think. And I don't know where they get this idea from, but that's what they think. Men send them, yeah, those guys. Yeah, it's crazy. That is crazy. Yep. All righty, guys. Well, I'm at the end. I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in. We will be back on Thursday. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. You don't want to miss Thursdays. We're going to have Forensic Frenzy on. It'll be a little bit earlier too. Anytime between maybe 6, maybe 7 o'clock Central. You want to hit that notification button and do all those things just so you can get notified. And don't forget to share this with your friends. Probably, you know, you don't have to share it to the pro burgers. Most of them are blocked anyways, but if you do, and they come in kind of hot because of the things I said, well, good luck for your comments staying up. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys later. You guys have a great night. Until next time, peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, sleuths of the night, once again, we gather in search of the truth, dark, and mystery. It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
Big development today in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. According to state and local officials and court documents, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger has been arrested. He was arrested and arraigned this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latest gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Pride, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe.